said that we went on a journey and a man amongst us was struck by a stone on his head and it wounded him, and he was on a sexual defilement. So he asked his companions, would you be able to find me a concession in making tayammum? So they said, we cannot give you a concession to make the tayammum where you're capable of using the water and the water is available. So the man washed himself, made a ghusl, and he was struck by a disease, which is normally the case when somebody has a wound and he washes that wound with cold water and he died. When we came to the Prophet ﷺ and he was told, he said, you've killed him, may Allah kill you. And then he said, verily, they should have asked if they didn't know. For verily, the cure of ignorance is to ask the knowledge. It was enough for him, or sufficing him, to make tayammum. This is the hadith regarding the tayammum, and also we have the hadith of Amr ibn As and the hadith of Ammar ibn Yasir, which will be inshallah narrating in due course. And also from the proof of its legitimacy, the ijma', the consensus of all the scholars and also the companions. Tayammum is a blessing from Allah, giving only to this ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nobody else. So no other ummah had this concession, which is the dry ablution. And the reason of its legitimacy is the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha, when she said, and this is in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim, that when they were in the desert and the army is along with the Prophet of Allah, she lost the necklace that she borrowed from her sister Asma, and that necklace is expensive. So the people had to look for that necklace, and because of that they stayed in the desert longer than what they have anticipated. Because of this, they ran out of water, and that is why they were in agonization. And even Abu Bakr, the father of Aisha, came and he poked to her stomach, saying to his daughter, what have you done to us? But because of this situation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed that verse which is in Surah Al-Ma'idah, which makes it permissible for the Muslim now to make the dry ablution. And that is why Aisha radiallahu anha, she was not, I would say, a harassment for the Muslims, but she had made us a way through in times of hardship. And that is why when they came to Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, the companions, they said, this is not the first time we get your barakah, O family of Abu Bakr. So Abu Bakr's family, they give blessings to the companions. From those blessings that Allah Azza wa Jalla sent the verse regarding the tayammum, because of Aisha, she had lost her necklace. Now we come to the occasions where tayammum is permissible. When the tayammum is permissible, you have to know that tayammum is not permissible except in the following two cases. And I ask before I start, did Jumu'ah give you the handouts regarding our topic today? I passed it on to him a long time ago. It's through his email, which is the Bedford Islamic Center and all of that. If you haven't got that, you don't know what I'm talking about. This is an extract of years of teaching. I'm giving you that for free. So what is that? It's in your, Bedford Islamic email.
Bedford Islamic Center email.
I've been sent a long time because he asked me for it. Okay, never mind. Keep writing notes. You're not going to get these benefits until you write it or you see it. As I said, you're going to find it in a book as well. This is, as I said, the cream of the crop for all the books that makes it easy for the person to learn. Two reasons why Tayammum makes it, or the two reasons that makes Tayammum is permissible. Number one, you cannot find the water after searching for it from any possible source, such as companions, neighbors, etc. And the proof is in the Quran also, which we have said. And we have examples for that from the hadith as well, from the hadith of Imran ibn Husayn. We were with the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he had led the people in the prayer. He saw a man who is set aside and he was not praying along with them. He said to him, the Prophet of Allah, why didn't you pray with us? The Messenger of Allah, I am in sexual defilement called janab, and I have no water. So the Prophet of Allah, he said, it's enough for you to make tayammum with the pure dirt of the land. So, examples for this. Number one, water is far away. Distance depends upon the circumstances of the person who's using it. Meaning, has he got means of transport? So the distance differs according to the person's circumstances. If you've got transport, then the distance to search for water would be more than the distance of a person who's on foot. So if he believes searching for water, even with a car, will take him outside the time of the prayer, very likely to do that, then he's permissible to make them. Same thing, a person who's on foot and has no transport, if he believes searching for water will take him, and it's very likely to take him outside the time of the prayer, then he's permissible to use dry ablution, Tayamum. Second example, hard to fetch the water. The water is there, very hard to fetch it. The lack of proper means. For example, water is in a well, and there's no rope, no bucket. It's going to be very risky to go down to fetch water. Or maybe there is water, a lake, but surrounded by lions, beasts, or surrounded by enemies. If you go there, there's a risk for your life. Then Tayammum is permissible. Also, if the water is insufficient for the ablution, because there is a need for drinking, whether it's people or animals, or because we want to remove impurities with it, or we want to cook with it. So we got water, so if we use it for wudu, we will not have enough water to purify the impurities, like for example excrement from our bodies, or for example for cooking, or for drinking, whether it's for us or the animal. We've got cats with us, for example, an animal, and he needs to drink, or a sheep. If we use that water for wudu, then the life of the person or the life of the animal will be in jeopardy. Alhamdulillah. Then this is considered as well an example that we cannot find water. Another example is that the water is can only be fetched through purchasing. So there is no water around, but there is water to be sold, and I can't afford it. It's too expensive to buy. Then it's permissible to use them. All these examples, as I said, you're not going to find them except, as I said, through teaching. So those are the 4 examples which makes it to say that you don't find water. Second reason, you have water, but one believes that the usage of the water will harm you. He only has to have something called ghalabat al-dhann, more than 50%. That he's not, he doesn't have to have absolute sure, he's absolutely sure about it, just have ghalabat al-dhann that water will harm. The usage of the water will harm. So, examples for that. Example A, he's ill. Very ill. And person, if he uses the water, he has ghalabat al-dhann that it will kill him. And the hadith of Jabir, which we have narrated before, is enough. One is injured. Again, hadith of Jabir is enough for us, which is the person who was injured. Or the water is too cold and there is no means to heat it. So if the person, he finds himself, some of the old people, they might get arthritis or they might get bone disease, then it is permissible for the person to use Tayamum. And Ammar ibn Yasir, hadith, which is as a proof for that. Ammar ibn Yasir, he was making janaba, having janaba, and also Abdullah ibn Amr. No, I would say hadith Amr ibn al-As is better. Hadith Amr ibn al-As regarding this issue is that in the battle of that al-Salasil, he was on sexual defilement. He had a wet dream, and it was a very cold night. So he didn't want to make ghusl because he had no means to heat the water, so he made Tayamum. And he led his people in the prayer, the Fajr prayer. When they came to the Prophet ﷺ, they said to the Messenger of Allah, Amr ibn al-As, he led us because he was the leader of the army. He led us in the, in the prayer, in the Fajr, and he made Tayamum. And there was water there. So the Prophet of Allah asked him, you have led your people while you were having janaba, and you used only Tayammum. He said, Messenger of Allah, I remembered Allah's saying, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَانَ بِكُمْ رَحِيمًا. Don't kill yourselves, for verily Allah is merciful to you. So that is why I made Tayammum, because I don't want to kill myself. Prophet of Allah laughed, and he did not say anything. So this is a proof that the prayer was correct, and also the people who prayed behind him is correct, and there is no harm for a person who is on Tayammum to lead people who are on wudu. Because people think, no, the person has to have the wudu in order to lead a person who's on Tayammum. No, it could be vice versa as well. So those are the three examples would make it for you clear what is meant by the person who is not able to use the water. Or it's got ghalabat al-dhann, he cannot use the water. Ghalabat al-dhann more than 50%. Description of the Tayammum now. The Tayammum can be done, as we said, first of all, you have to have intention. And number two, you have to say Bismillah. Intention is a condition. Bismillah is an obligatory. So if a person, for example, he had some dirt in his hands and he wanted to clean it, so he just rubbed the earth with it and he wiped his face with it as well. It's not enough because he did not have the intention to make Tayammum. He was trying to get the dirt out of his hand. Bismillah, just like we said regarding the wudu, is obligatory. Strike both palms, okay, with whatever covers the earth only once, just once. And this is enough for both the face and the hand. You start with the face, then you start with the hand. So strike the land. If there is any dust, then that dust, either it is hard to be removed or it's light. If it's hard, then you use the shake, which is hit your hands together in order to get that dirt away. And if it's dust, it's enough for you to blow into it. So you could shake if it's hard and blow, or blow which is sufficient. Then you wipe your face and you wipe your hands afterwards. Face and the hands. Hands, you do it just like I'm doing it now. So the palm goes on top of the back of the other hand, and the same thing, the other palm will go on top. So you just, roll your hands. For those sisters who are not knowing what I'm doing, what you do when you wash your hands, you just do that, so the hands, they roll on top of each other, like this. The palm goes on top of the back of the other hand, and the other palm will do the same thing, and that is called Tayamum. So you don't need a strike of the land twice, one for the face and one for the hand. One is enough. You can use the Tayammum even in a wet rock. It doesn't have to be dry rock. So if the rock, for example, was wet because of the rain, no problem. Just hit the rock, and you don't need now to blow into it at all because it is wet. There's no dust there. Remember, we don't want you to get particles of the sand into your eyes and blind yourself. This is not the idea. Now, what the actions that nullifies the wudu? So now we have understood the description of Tayammum, intention, which is a condition. Bismillah, obligatory. Number 3, strike both palms, which is a pillar. That's a pillar. Okay, that's a pillar. The area that you need to wipe the hands is the area which is of the wrist, not all the hands, up to the wrist. This is where the hand to be cut off if there's a thief. When somebody steals, we cut off from the wrist. This is the area that you want to wipe. The Tayammum does not go on to all the way to the underarms. The action that nullifies the wudu are 2. Everything that nullifies wudu nullifies Tayammum. So passing the wind, excrement, urination, eating camel meat, and sleeping, all of that nullifies the Tayammum. The second one, which is on top of what nullifies the wudu, the presence of water, whether before you commence the prayer or while you're praying. Again, that is the presence of the water before you start your prayer or while you are in the prayer. So as soon as you have the water before the prayer or while you're praying, your prayer is invalid. You have to make wudu. Or if you have janaba, you have to make ghusl. But if the prayer is finished and the water was there, you don't need to repeat the prayer. Now, this is where my notes come very handy. The useful points regarding Tayammum. I have gathered as many points as possible that would come up to the mind of a person as a question. Okay. Number 1, surface of the earth must be pure. That is to make Tayammum. Otherwise it will be invalid. That's a condition. So if the earth is full of urination, or the earth is full of excrement, then you cannot make Tayammum with it. Close sequence of actions in Tayammum is a pillar. Meaning that if I strike the land for Tayammum, and then a phone call comes to me, and then I answer the call, and I finish my call, I cannot go and wipe my hands on my face. I need to what? Do it again, because a close sequence. So if I strike the land for the Tayammum, it has to be followed straight away by wiping the face and then wiping the hands. Cannot really have, just like the wudu we said, close sequence is a condition. Unless the sequence was broken because of something to do with other than your choice. So for example, you made Tayammum on the street, let's say. You struck the hand on the tarmac, which is there, and then suddenly there was a car coming. So you moved to another place, and you continued by wiping your face and your hands, no problem. Because this is nothing to do with your choice. And you could use a lot of examples around this issue. Number 3, wiping the face before the hands is recommended. If you did the vice versa, it is valid, but it's not the sunnah. Sunnah is to start with the face, then the hands. It is permissible for more than one person to perform Tayammum from the same place. So you don't have to change the spot. So if I bring you a tile, it doesn't matter how many people use that tile to make Tayammum from. And what covers the earth is either pure or impure. It is different from the water that we make water, wudu from. Meaning, the wudu, when we make water, we said, remember, the water has either it is pure, that has the ability to purify, or pure, but which hasn't got the ability to purify, or impure. This does not apply, it's not implemented or applied on the earth. We don't have such thing as called earth, which is pure, but hasn't got the ability to purify. We don't have that. So it's either pure or impure. Point number 6, it is permissible to perform tayammum with the presence of water for the following. That is, salutation. You are on janaba, you are not in wudu. Somebody said salam, touch the ground, wipe your face and your hands, say wa alaikum assalam, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, because you're mentioning Allah's name. You're mentioning Allah's name. Now this tayammum is not valid for making a prayer. It's just for passive salutation. This is hadith of Abu Juhaym in Sahih Bukhari. And also in Sahih Imam Muslim. That the Prophet ﷺ, he was having, had just urinated, and a person said salam to him. He just struck his hands on the wall, made the tayammum, and then he said wa alaikum salam. Also, when sleeping on janaba, let's say that you slept on janaba and you're later to go make ghusl before you sleep, and you're tired and you had intercourse with your wife. Now to always to sleep on purification would be better. So if the wall next to you is not wallpaper and is not oil paint, just strike your hands on the wall and by saying Bismillah and wipe your face and then your hands, and then you'll be sleeping on purification. But that tayammum is not enough for you to make what? The Fajr prayer or any prayer. It's just for the sleep. Tayammum is a substitute for water. That's the point number 8. Therefore, whatever is applied on wudu or ghusl is applied on tayammum. This means tayammum does not become invalid when the time of prayer is passed. So if you make tayammum for dhuhr, this will stay for asr, maghrib and isha. You don't have to do tayammum again and again. It is permissible to perform tayammum before the time of a prayer. So no problem if you make tayammum before dhuhr. Because you don't have water, we can't use the water. It's no problem. Same thing as wudu. It is permissible to use one tayammum for more than one obligatory prayer, or more than obligatory prayer, or voluntary, whatever. So you don't have to have tayammum for each prayer, because it's the same thing as wudu. Point number 9, tayammum is not permissible for the sake of catching up with the time of a prayer. What does that mean? Example, person woke up at the end of Fajr time. This is really very common. And he notices he's got janaba. Now, this can happen in only 2 situations. Situation number 1, that this person has a legitimate reason to wake up late. He put his alarm and everything, but he woke up late. And usually he wakes up normally on time at the beginning of the prayer. Or the second case, he's lazy. He doesn't care whether he wakes up for Fajr or he doesn't. And he did not set his alarm, nothing. In both situations, he must perform full ghusl, even though that ghusl will take him outside the Fajr time. As for the case of being careless, then if he had ghusl and the time had finished, there is no Fajr for him. He has to repent to Allah and to increase in praying voluntary. He cannot pray Fajr. Fajr is gone. He has to catch up with the time before the sunrise, and he has no option and no concession to use tayammum. As some people think this is the correct thing. But he has to do at least 1 rak'ah before the sunrise, and the 1 rak'ah will be achieved by doing 1 sajda. The first sajda before the second sajda. If you did that before sunrise, then you're able to continue. Otherwise, you've lost the Fajr. As for the person who has legitimate reason, but he woke up late, then his time of Fajr would start from that time. So he could have ghusl, heat the water as well, and even if the water is going to take him to heat it outside the time of the Fajr, it doesn't matter. He takes his time and he does what he does normally if he's just woken up at the beginning of the Fajr time. So he would heat up his water and go and have ghusl, and he would pray it even though it's about 20 minutes, half an hour after the sun had risen. Point number 10, Tayammum is not permissible in the case of a guest waking up with janaba, but shy to ask his host for water due to fear of suspicions. I've heard this a lot. Somebody saying that, somebody's a guest in somebody's house, and that person is married, of course, and then his house, he was in janaba, then it's permissible for him to use tayammum and not to make ghusl. Why? Because if he asks for ghusl, then the host might think that this man, he was thinking about his wife, or maybe this guest was really looking at his wife, all of that sort of things. You must have heard this before. If you haven't, welcome to the Arab land. And then you will know. Have you ever heard about this before? No? Nobody heard about this? Yes? Where?
I think here, just
What, they said to you to make ghusl? Alright. You have to make ghusl. You cannot you just quietly make tayammum because you're shy to ask. No, he's your host. I want to have ghusl. You don't have to explain to him why. Had a dream about your wife? What is that? Tayammum is not permissible at the beginning of the time of prayer. Okay? Tayammum is not permissible at the beginning of the time of prayer if the person has ghalabatul dhann, 50% or more of getting water within time. So let's say the dhuhr kicked in. There's no water, but I have more of a certainty that the water is going to come up. It's going to come to me. Whether I'm going to go and fetch it because it's not really far, or maybe because I know that the municipality had stopped the water and they said to me it's going to be in fact 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, there will be what? Water coming. And in our land, we have lack of water. Sometimes you go to the tap is nothing there. So if the person has ghalabatul dhann, that he will have the water within the time of the prayer, he may not make tayammum and then perform the prayer at the beginning of its time. He has to wait because he's more of a certain. He's very likely to have the water very soon, or maybe he will have the scar be brought to him and then he will go to such and such place which is not far away and he will fetch the water. If you are in Bedford, there was no water in Bedford, and there is water, for example, in Luton. Do you need to go to Luton to fetch the water? No. Just make it here. But if it's next door to the supermarket which is here, then I go to it. But not to Luton. I just make them. Right. Also, if one finds water after completing a prayer which he performed with tayammum, there is no need for him to repeat that prayer. You finish your prayer, you make tayammum, and then after the prayer, you found that there was water, it's no problem, your prayer is okay. If he forgot the presence of the water, he thought there is no water, but actually there's a bucket of water which is lying around somewhere, he forgot, and he prayed with tayammum, then we only tell him out of precaution, that's it, to repeat all his prayers after he makes wudu or ghusl. All these prayers that he made with the tayammum, but he doesn't have it, out of precaution. We cannot say that he has to make them again, because he forgot there was water, and he had made tayammum thinking there is no water. So no problem in that case, but out of precaution, just make ghusl or wudu, whatever you need, and do all these prayers that you have performed with tayammum. Point number 14, if a person on wudu and about to pray, and at the same time needs to answer the call of nature desperately. So he is on wudu, he's about to pray, but something kicked in now. He has to go to the toilet, whether it's number 1 or number 2. But he knows that if he uses the water, then it will run out. So it is recommended for him to relieve himself. There is no water. Let's say there is no water. It's recommended for him to relieve himself and then make tayammum and perform that prayer, rather than to performing it with the wudu while suffering. Do you understand me? So he is now having no water, but he was on wudu. He's about to pray. Something is pushing there, but he knows that if he lost his wudu, he cannot make wudu. He has to make what? Tayammum. Then we say tayammum is better. Relieve yourself and make tayammum, no problem. Don't make it without wudu. Push yourself. Point number 15. If a person was in genuine fear of being left behind by his companions on a journey, and if he were to use water to perform wudu, or most likely ghusl, because it takes time, then it is permissible for him to make tayammum. Now this is a proper consideration, has to be carried out in order to say that I could really take the decision of taking tayammum. So here, for example, there is a plane is about to leave, and he's at the last moments, or for example a caravan to leave, can't wait for him, or a train, and it's very important. And then he found himself, or remember that he was on janaba. He cannot perform the prayer except by making ghusl. Making ghusl is going to make him to lose the plane, lose the companionship. Then this is a perfect consideration. You could make tayammum for that sake. Tayammum is only one strike, as we said, it's not two strikes, as some mentioned in the narration, which are unauthentic. All the narration with two strikes is unauthentic. Number 17, wiping the hands in tayammum is only up to the wrist, as we said, not to the armpits or the shoulders, as been happening with Ammar ibn Yasir radiallahu anhu. Ammar ibn Yasir, what he did, he was another companion, and they were on janaba. Okay, one did not pray when the prayer came because there was no tayammum, and the other one, he had a shower sand. He threw himself into the sand, he removed himself like this. It's like he had shower on all of his body. So one did not pray, and the other one had a shower sand, and then he prayed. And the Prophet ﷺ, as soon as he heard, he laughed at Ammar. He said, "It's not even have a shower sand, you have just only to strike the land once and you wipe your face and your hands." So the tayammum is up to the wrist, there. It is not up to the armpits. You're not going to go wash your hand with sand up to the armpits. Number 18, it's permissible for a person on tayammum to lead the prayer of people who are on wudu, just like we have said the hadith of Amr ibn al-As. Last point number 19. If a person has no water, nor is capable of using tayammum, this is extreme circumstances, then he must perform the prayer without any. This is an example of a prisoner. He's in prison and he cannot reach water, there's no water there, and also he cannot reach the surface of the ground because maybe he's hanging somewhere in the middle, or there's no land around him. It's all of it wood. He's been in a wooden cage. So in this case we say to him, pray without any purification, whether it's tayammum or water. After this, alhamdulillah, we finished the tayammum. Before I go to the menstruation, I would like to ask if you have any questions regarding tayammum. I have managed to cover every single question that comes up to the mind of the person, but there is always things to add. Further. How many times a person wipes his face? I want the answer from the people who are listening. How many times? Once. Okay, so it's been covered. Now,
is it enough for purification of janaba and wudu as well?
Is it enough for purification for janaba and wudu? I want the answer from the people. Yes. Now, you know, answer. Any question? Come on. I want you to elaborate as well. Anything that's really add. Now.
Can you just clarify the issue where you said that if a person wakes up late for Fajr,
and it may be in the state of janaba, he said that it's permissible. Can you just clarify exactly?
It's permissible. It's permissible to what?
No, he said that his fajr starts from when he woke up then, because he normally wakes up early. Can you just go through that?
Okay. I don't want anybody to explain that, going to take time. I said, if a person wakes up and he was on janaba, and the time of the fajr is about to finish, elapse. I said that either he is a person who takes his precaution, puts his alarm and everything, wakes up all the time, mashallah, on time, or a person who's careless. He doesn't care whether it's after sunrise or before sunrise. In the second case of the carelessness, in both cases you have to make full ghusl. There's no Tayammum. In both cases. But in the case of carelessness, we say that this person, if he catches up one rak'ah, which is one rak'ah with the first sajda, before sunrise he continues, and if he doesn't, then he has to make tawbah to Allah and say to Allah, I'm not going to do it again, and to increase in the voluntary, hoping that his voluntary will substitute for his fajr. And for the case of his person who's got, taking his precautions and everything, then his time starts from the moment he wakes up. So it doesn't matter if the water needs to be heated and can I take him outside the time of the prayer. No.
Sorry. So in that instance, should he wait until half an hour, 40 minutes, and the sun fully
No,
comes
you
up?
should not wait. I didn't say that you shouldn't wait.
That's just...
Yeah, but you should not wait. I said his time starts from that moment. Sunrise is irrelevant. Sunrise is irrelevant. Whatever. So just his time starts from that moment. Whether it's before sunrise, after sunrise, on the sunrise, it doesn't really matter. So his time starts from that moment. He eats the water, and then he makes the prayer. The Prophet ﷺ, when he woke up one day and he was late, it was really because of the hard journey. He was so tired. And the first person who woke up was Bilal. And he called the Prophet. He was really terrified because the sun is, and he's the time man because he's the one who's mu'adhin. Because the mu'adhin is the one who is the time. So scared. Woke up the Prophet of Allah ﷺ, and he was, so the Prophet of Allah, he took the army and moved them. And that took time after the sunrise. He moved them because the place is a place of shaitan. Because the shaitan, what he did, he blocked their, them to hear the adhan, blocked their minds from waking up for fajr. So he moved them. And that move took about maybe 15, 20 minutes after sunrise. So we say to the person always, you should not pray when the sun is rising. But as I said, for the person who wakes up, his time starts from that time. So he's not caring about sunrise, but he's caring about to pray on the sunrise. So his time starts, even if it goes outside the sunrise. But let's say that he had managed to make shower, and be ready on the sunrise. No, he waits for that sunrise to pass. 10 minutes after that, then he will pray. But I'm just saying the time of his starts from the moment he wakes up. It doesn't matter whether sun rising or it's relevant to him, the sunrise. But we know from the fact that we're going to be learning about the prayer, there are times where the person should avoid to pray. Sun is rising, sun is setting. You cannot pray, and also the sun is on the zenith. Those are the times you should avoid. Then there is the times which are like the time after Fajr, before sunrise. And the other time is when the sun goes yellow until it sets. Those two times, if a person remembers a prayer that he hasn't done, he has to pray it. So for example, let's say that it's after the Fajr you prayed, you remember that your Dhuhr, I haven't prayed it on wudu, or I did not pray it. So I pray even though it's after Fajr. But the 3 times I should avoid in totality all the time: sun rising, while it's rising, sun is setting, while it's setting, and the third one, which is the sun, is what? It's in its meridian. Meridian means just about 10 minutes before the Lord. The sun, if a person is about, for example, he forgot his asr, and the sun is yellow, and he's getting red, Do I wait until the sun sets? No. I have to pray my asr before the sun sets. Okay? But if the sun is setting, I wait. Finished. Sun is rising, I wait till it rises completely. Alright? Now. Now, so, okay. Fadal.
What if a person is in a hospital bed and he can't do tayammum? Does he pray without wudu?
If the person is what?
In a hospital bed and he can't do tayammum.
Hospital, bed,
Bed.
and
And he can't do tayammum.
can't do tayammum.
Yeah. He's like broken a leg or something.
Okay, you're bringing me a scenario which doesn't normally happen, but we'll give you an answer. Because the person who's on the bed, mashallah, could just ring the bell. Ding. Nurse will come and I bring me please a tile. If you can make wudu, then make him wudu. Remember, when you're an ill person, then your illness will be measured according to what you think. If you are an ill person and you're not a traveler, you may not shorten the prayer. Remember that. You may combine. But if you are capable of making the prayer on its time and your illness is not that much, you may not combine. You may not push the Lord with the Asr to the Lord. No. To pray them on time. But if you are ill, you can't, your illness is a bit tiring and so on and so forth, then you would say, you combine, but no shortening of the prayer. Now there's the same thing with the wudu, and the same thing with the tayammum. So if you are capable of making wudu, then you do wudu. If you are capable of making somebody to make you wudu, so for example, a brother, son, come and make you wudu and help you, then make wudu. You're not making wudu, you're not capable of making wudu because of any reason, there's nobody to help you to make the wudu, then you make tayammum. There's no way to, after you make tayammum, the water is a bit far away, make somebody to make, bring me a brick, put it next to me, or whatever. Can't lift up my hand, somebody could lift my hand and put on the brick and he could do that. All of that. Then until the extreme comes in, oh, I can't. Then you pray regardless. Imagine a person who's got, like sucking from his private part, the urination is coming. He's constantly on najasa. Does he pray or does he not pray? Constantly on najasa. Does he pray or not? I'm asking you. Somebody on the bed now, there's urination coming out, okay, all the time, the bag is underneath him. Can he make tayammum? Or sorry, can he make prayer or there's no prayer upon him? He has to pray. As long as his mind is functioning, he has to pray. Whether he is on constantly 24 hours 7 janaba or 24 hours 7 urination, doesn't matter. He has to pray. Because this is beyond his capability. Now, Fadal.
If you're in Tayammum and you're praying Salah, but Salah you're towards the end of it, and the timing is towards the end, and water comes available, what do you do if you're not sure if you're going to...
Okay, scenario again. So where the mind comes in, envisaging sort of. Good. That is a person who's at the end of the time of the prayer, and he's in his prayer, and he was on tayammum. Water comes in. So if he breaks his prayer, okay, and has wudu, that will push him to make the prayer outside the time. That's the question. And we know for the fact that if the water arrives, okay, if the water arrives while you're in the prayer, your prayer will become what? Invalid. That invalidation regardless whether the prayer at the end of the time or not. Once the water comes in, the prayer what? Is invalid. So your time starts from that moment. It doesn't matter that the time of the prayer finishes. So your prayer becomes invalid, you make wudu, and even that wudu will push your prayer outside the time of that prayer. It doesn't matter because لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah does not burden the person over what he can take. Okay, question for you guys. Person, okay, can he make tayammum with the beach sand or not? Is it permissible to make tayammum with that beach sand or not? Answer the question. Now, tell us something.
Yes.
Why, you think? Maybe it's not really pure. Anybody? Huh? Comes to the earth. So you could make it. I think you can't. Because there is a water, beach sand. Beach, you know what's a beach? Plenty of water. You can't. I got you on that. طيب.
Just another scenario.
Another scenario.
Suppose I'm the imam,
You are the imam.
and then I'm leading the prayer now,
Leading
but
the prayer.
I am on Tayammum.
You are on Tayammum.
And then everyone else, probably, for some reason, they've got the full wudu.
They've got the full wudu.
And then the water came available
The
while
water
I'm in
came
prayer.
available.
So what should I do in this situation?
Your prayer is invalid.
So should I let someone else lead the prayer?
As soon as you leave, it becomes like you lost your wudu. It's exactly the same. So somebody will lead the prayer. Just like you have passed with same thing. Now,
So what's the difference between obligation and a condition?
obligation and a condition. Condition is obligation plus. Condition is an obligation plus. I mean extra. So an obligatory act, if you, when it's not a condition nor it's a pillar, if you lose it, then we will be tolerant regarding, for example, if you forgot. But if it's a pillar or condition, even if you forgot, still you have to repeat that action. But the obligatory will, like for example, saying Bismillah. Lots of people say forget Bismillah on their wudu, or their shower. Also, lots of people. If it was a condition, all their wudu and all their tawbah will be invalid. But we say it's obligatory. It only will invalidate if you deliberately did not say Bismillah. You remember, but you don't want to say Bismillah, which I can't really see it as something that is true. It's a fact or reality. It cannot be. Somebody who knows Bismillah is obligatory and say, I'm not going to say Bismillah. I mean, who is that person unless something wrong with his brain? It cannot be reality, you understand. Fine, can I go to the menses now? Now the menses is 4:30. We started 3:30 by the way. Our class is 3:30. Now this is 4:30. I think the Maghrib prayer is going to kick in a minute, isn't it? Okay. So I will start with, because the menses and menstruation is not really. Jumu'ah, we have passed on to you the notes and you did not give it to them. So you are to blame for that.
Yes.
He is your culprit. Do whatever you like with him. Okay, I'll go to the menstruation. I'll start with the points. By the way, the notes, it has the points, but it hasn't got the hadith which I have narrated. It says the hadith of Jabir, but you don't know what the hadith of Jabir I'm talking about. So you have to add that to the notes. Hayd, menstruation. I'm not going to start with it, but I'm going to say to you some questions from the sisters that have been said to them. A woman, she went to Hajj, and her menses usually comes during the time of the Hajj, during the time of which is the beginning of which is from the 10th, 11th, and 12th, and 13th. Do you understand that? Or let's just say came before that. 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. So she got the 8th, which is the day of Tarwiyah, the 9th, the day of Arafah, the 10th, which is the day of Hajj, the day of Adha, 11th, the day of Mina, 12th, the day of Mina, 13th, the day of Mina. So usually her menstruation comes in those days, because remember she's on the lunar month, usually on those days. 6 days that she usually experiences her menstruation. So she's going to make Hajj now. So she decided to take tablets that would what? Push the menstruation blood forward. Delay it. And the women, usually, they know their menses, because if they're experienced, they will know. Especially if she's a learned woman, she will start studying, the cases of hers. But once she takes tablets, those tablets mess about their cycle. The cycle will be upside down. I don't know what's happening. Right. This scenario is that this woman, she had taken tablets, and on the 8th day there was no blood, so she was in Mina. The 9th day she was doing her Arafah and there was no blood. On the 10th day she made her stoning of the Jamarat, and she wanted to do now Tawaf al-Ifadah on the same day. one drop in the blood came about 11 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock. One drop. And there was no blood. Until the evening. Another drop of blood. Now the men like you, what are you talking about? Because you're not a woman, you don't understand what I'm talking about. So don't worry about it. It's only the woman. Another drop came out. And then the following day, there was no blood. The day after, which is the 12th day, she's starting Jama'ah, there was as well blood. And that blood was increasing. Not one drop, lots. Now, she doesn't care about being on the day of Arafah with blood. She could be with blood and no problem. She doesn't care as well throwing the Jama'ah on blood, no problem. What she cares about is her tawaf al-wadat, the Falaah. She had a drop while she was making the tawaf. One drop. And she had on the same day as well one drop in the evening. Now her case is very, very, very much awkward. Now, normally she has had blood of menstruation during that time. In that case, you are the sheikh, she's asking you, is my tawaf al-ifadah right? Or is it not right? And what you should do in that case. This is why we're studying the menses. Okay. This is now me going to answer her. Okay. I'm going to ask the first question. What is the religion of that blood drop? What is the religion of the blood drop? What is that talking about? Talking about what is the characteristics of that blood drop. Now, the tablet had pushed her blood, definitely, because you usually have it on the 8th. It pushed it. The 9th there was no blood, 8th there was no blood, it's only the 10th. So I'm going to ask, what is the characteristic of that drop of that blood? The women, they know that the menses blood is dark, and in Arabic, yu'arif, stinky. It's got a smell, specific smell, she knows it, because she smelled it before. She knows it. Just like a cat smells something, he knows that it's a sardine or tuna or whatever. Same thing with women, they know it straight away. They will know this is blood. Even without looking at the color, they will know this is the menstruous. Now she studies it. If it is blood of menses, then her tawaf is invalid. And she has to wait until she's cleansed totally, and then she makes the tawaf al-ifadah again, regardless if it takes it outside the days of Hajj. She has to wait. Now, she is sure it is not the blood. It is not the blood of what? Menses. It's not got the color, nor the smell. Then there's no problem about that. She has done her tawaf al-ifadah and her Hajj is complete. She doesn't need to make the tawaf or the farewell, by the way. But she's not sure. She studied the characteristics. Color is about, maybe, maybe not. Smell, maybe, maybe not. Or maybe she had a flu, she can't smell it. So she's in agonization. Now we go to the ghalabat al-dhann. What is ghalabat al-dhann? Meaning, what is more likely to you? Is it blood of menses or is it not? Here, medications of the doctors will help. So if she goes to the doctor, that tablet you gave me, does it prevent 100% the blood of the menses? Or it doesn't? If he said, no way you'll have blood menses, no way you'll have blood menses, then in the case of doubt only, not in the case of your 100% there was menses, because you yourself more of a doctor than the doctor. Even they said it's 100%, but now you're in doubt, you are more relaxed, it's not blood of menses, then your tawaf is. But if he said, maybe, you could have blood menses, very likely you might have blood menses, even though I gave you the tablet. Now you're back to the confusion again. You're confused, the doctor is confused. Now you, yourself as a person is an experience. You have to put that. You could ask a sheikh. And I'll tell you what, the sheikh, as soon as you take the tablet for pushing and delaying the blood menses, you are confusing the sheikh himself as well. So the sheikh is confused, you're confused, everybody's confused. The doctor is confused. So, in that case, you tell, out of precaution, do tawaf al-ifadah again. Because you can't arrive to a conclusion. after this scenario, you could see why it is important to study the what? Menstruation. Even if you're a man, you don't menstruate, but you have to study it in order to teach your wives, your sisters, your daughters. You have to. Okay? Jazakumullah khairan wa ahsanallahu alaykum. We'll have the prayer, and then after that, we'll have 5 minutes and miss questions. Alright? If you have. Alright?